Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the Back of the Bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today, I'm absolutely buzzing. I've got an amazing guest on with me. He's got all the energy in the world. I'm just going to welcome him in. DJ Fever! Yeah! I thought if you give us all that energy, I've got to go back double as hard, man.
Double up, man.
Yeah. How are we feeling, mate?
Thanks for having me, man. It's awesome.
I've honestly been buzzing because I've heard so much about you from so many different people. Yeah. And then I thought, I'll go, all right then. I'll look at this mythical character, see what he's up to. I went on your Instagram and luckily for me, you were doing an Instagram live at the time.
Oh, wow.
So I thought, I can really get involved.
Yeah.
And usually with Instagram lives, I'll be deadly honest. Yeah. Put them in the background. After a minute, I think, I don't like what they're saying. Yeah. And I flick it off. That is the majority of the time.
Yeah.
I watched yours the whole way through, and then every single time you've done another, I was like, I want to see what they're up to, because they're just brilliant anecdotes and just crazy stories. Yeah. Who'd you do it with?
His name's Severe.
He's so funny.
He's hilarious. And Stuart, and I've known him for years. Met him in the mid-90s through the DJ scene, obviously. And we clicked instantly.
So you literally years and years and years.
95, I think it was 96. Wow. 1995, 96, around that time.
Do you know what my date of birth is?
Don't, because you're going to make me feel dead old.
93.
Oh, mate. I remember buying records in 93.
Oh, wow. Yeah. What was coming out in my date of birth time?
Your date of birth?
Yeah, what was cracking?
Great, amazing year in hip-hop.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just before, I think that's just before Illmatic.
Are you an encyclopedia for this?
I think it's just before Illmatic.
Oh, brilliant.
You're born just before Illmatic. So, we're talking about, oh, God. You've hit like 36 chambers, and, the birth of like that sort of year into 4 and 5.
Right.
It's just...
And is this when so it's going off in America... heavily, and it's made its way over.
It's made its way over the seas,
and now it's popping.
Absolutely, by 90. I mean, we have a great 80s hip hop scene in the UK,
right? And
specifically in Nottingham, we have
really,
we really do.
Now, can you give some names out?
Yeah, flipping out. I'd love to. I mean, one of the DJs that sort of I think is really important to the hip hop scene in Nottingham in the 80s is DJ Scratch. He's actually named Scratch. So there's 2 Scratches. You've got the one in America,
right?
And you've got Scratch from Nottingham.
Wow.
Master Scratch, that's his name. I think his name's Franklin. And he used to do these cassette tapes, and he would sell them from Rock City. That was his resident spot on a Saturday afternoon, which is where all the breakers and the b-boys used to go. And he was like really up on all the break beats, and he would cut them up. There's also another DJ called Jonathan that was there on a Saturday afternoon who had the record shop Arcade in Nottingham. Yeah. So that's where everybody went to buy their records. And between the two of them, they sort of built...
Is Arcade still there?
Arcade Records is gone now. But the Arcade is the Arcade where it originally was is still there. Yeah. And there's still record shops in there. But and then, the birth of that, and then you've got Dr. D. And then the artists, so like yourself, the MCs that were doing their thing back in the day. There's KID, who's no longer with us. He passed away. And he had a partner called Colin Carruthers. So you had KID and the Carruthers.
I'm enjoying this so
They had this huge track called Twice the Trouble. Amazing. I'm going to give you all these songs.
How old were you at this point? Where are you?
So this was late 80s. So I would be... 12
okay.
Or something, 12, 13. So, because maybe a bit older.
To start this off, I wanted to know what was cracking off in your household, because the energy you give is 110% at all times. Is that your household? Is that what you've grown from and transcended from?
Yeah, so I'm the baby of 4.
Right.
And I've got my brother's the oldest, Desmond. Then I've got 2 sisters in between, Gillian and Alison. And my brother, he was into music massively. So he brought all the music into the house and basically introduced us all to music, me and my 2 sisters.
How much older?
He's 10 years older than me.
10 years old, okay, wow.
So he was like old enough to go out.
Yeah.
buy records, bring them back, break them down to us. You know, this is what's happening over here. You know, and it's really and truly, my brother is the reason why I'm into music. You know. It was his birthday not long ago, and I did a post.
Okay.
And I actually put that. I said, my brother's my hero. Do you know what I mean?
The inspiration behind it all.
Yeah.
And did he go into music himself?
He did. A little bit. He grazed DJing a little bit, but he was working at Rolls Royce. He left school, did the right thing.
Yeah.
Went and got a job.
The how-to. The how-to manual.
Went and got trained up as an engineer, as a technical engineer, a precision engineer. Sorry, and then, got a job at Rolls Royce in Derby, worked there for years, and then, built up his music collection. And then I got the decks and the turntables once I'd got of age. And then he started to, tickle his DJ appetite.
Yeah.
And, I think he did a few bits and bobs. But he was working, and then he had his son, my first nephew, Kane. Shout out to Kane.
Shout out.
He's probably like your age.
Wow.
that's how old I am. Yeah.
And what about mum and dad then? Were they very musical? And were they together? Loving family household?
Very much so. So very lucky to have that, because, I'm very aware of the way it is now in today's society and the way things are today. But I was lucky. Mum and dad together. They both came from the Caribbean, from the West Indies. And me dad and my mum from 1960, I think they got there in 1960.
Right.
And and basically moved into Long Eaton, and had my brother and my two sisters, and then me. And
what were they doing for a living?
Me dad worked on the railway initially, I think, and then he went into the fabric trade.
Okay.
And then my mum worked at Debfa, which is, again, knickers, underwear. Yeah. And we had a to be fair, we had a really good childhood. A roof over our head, heating was always on, electric was always on.
I love that. And again, somebody said something really important to me recently. He says, I never judge a child on the amount of money in the household, but the amount of love in it.
That's the one.
Because it doesn't matter how affluent, how big, whatever size house, whatever it is, it's just what love have they been shown. Because that's when you see the pain later on in life. Big and time. So on. And that's when it displays itself.
I totally agree. I think money, is as good as it is. As great as it can obviously give you a good kickstart into life.
Yeah.
I think, I've met people that have born into money.
Yeah.
And, and they always, have, sort of like really complimentary things to say about my personality.
Yeah.
And I wasn't born into money at all. Do you know what I mean? I grew up in Long Eaton in a on a street called Collingwood Road, where a lot of stuff was going on.
Yeah,
and it was rough. There was, you had odd scraps here and there.
Did you?
It was rough. It was rough in the 80s.
You got yourself through.
Yeah, I got myself through. Made some good friends, and even some of the old enemies are like good friends now. So
is the energy thing then, or the great vibe? Is that a culture thing to a degree then?
Yeah, I think so.
Your mum and dad, they come from where was it? Sorry,
the West Indies.
The West Indies.
St. Vincent, which is one of the smaller islands.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So you've got the West Indies is made up of loads of islands, and St. Vincent are the smaller islands.
Beautiful.
St. Kitts, St. Lucia.
How old were they when they came over?
Oh, it's scary. I've had this conversation with my dad and my mum. And my dad was like 19, 20 or 21, around that age when they got here.
And do you know what made them make that decision?
So my dad was brought up by his stepdad.
Okay.
So, he was brought up by his mum's partner, and it was just stuff like, look, this opportunity's come about where they're offering, Afro-Caribbeans to come over to England and work and make money. And my dad's stepdad was like, get yourself off.
Yeah,
what are you doing here? You make something of yourself. Get on the boat. You and your Uncle Alfred and everybody get on the boat and piss off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And my dad reluctantly came to England. Do you know what I mean? Reluctantly,
And
so
interesting that. Has he thought about it since? And did he make the right decision or so on? Because I've travelled quite a bit.
Yeah.
And grass is always greener, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for me, the happiest I've ever really felt, apart from now being a dad, got my family
we've got to talk about that as well.
I'm happy there. But genuinely, I'd say when I went to small islands, been to like Bali and so on, it's just really simplistic nature, all of it, and the emphasis ends up being the happiness factor, because they're doing the music thing, so they make sure they get their jobs are done for the day, so on. Everyone's got a duty, but then after that, it's kind of, well, what do we do now? And it just turns into this, let's have a party or something most of the time. You're not this stress just didn't feel abundant, but I wonder if your dad lived on this small island, until 21,
to about I think it was 19. About 2021, around that age, actually. That's about correct. Doing the math,
must have some memory then. There's definitely that part of it. I just wonder what his thought of is, because I do love the UK, I love England, but there is a huge difference of going culture. Chilling out, being there with the culture, with the good vibes, and then here where it can be a bit of maybe a rat race, or
it's very fast, isn't it?
Fast paced. I was going to go into freestyle then. I thought fast paced rap race. No, in your face. Does he ever reflect on it? Does he talk about it?
I think so. And the conversations I remember having with him, I'm going to go see him again. Probably like next week. I'll take baby round. Pop round. Father's Day. Bit around in between there, but I don't go around that often enough, you see.
I get you.
Because he lives by himself, and my mum and dad don't live together anymore.
Okay.
It's quite deep. They kind of separated later on.
Right, okay.
But, we managed to all be left home by the time that happened. So
unscathed.
But I think my dad, the conversation I had with my dad about, coming to England, it was kind of reluctantly, and I think he did. Even up to when, I remember having conversations with him as a young kid, it would always be stories of when he was at home playing cricket.
Right.
Or, that was the thing that they did, cricket. And, because he lived on a farm, the goats and the lambs and, and the chickens and all that. And, doing farm chores and then going down to the beach, to have a swim.
Yeah.
And then, so he often reflects on that life.
The nostalgia. And the lovingness side.
And I think he did miss it. And my dad's quite grumpy as well. And I think that's part
there.
I think you might be on something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to stumble on that.
No.
Psychoanalyze the man.
But that might be why he's. But even with him being grumpy, we still. My mum's more of the chirpy. Yeah. My dad's sort of the disciplinary grumpy. My mum's the happy Christian, Seventh-day Adventist, like Old Testament type thing. So strict, but she was the one that gave us a bit of slack.
Yeah.
And plus, like I say, there was 4 of us. So in the summer we would play, and we had fun times. My dad used to do like nights and day shifts. So when he was on like day shifts, we would, tip the house upside down and then get the house tidy before he came home. And then when he was on nights, it was like, sit down because he's in bed, you know what I mean?
Bless.
And wait for him to leave. So
there's nothing scarier than a nighttime dad. When you go over to your mate's house, you're both playing together and he's like, careful, my dad's on nights. Like, oh no, this monster upstairs. And then you go too far and he comes down and screams at you. Oh, I'll never forget that.
Stop making all the bloody noise. I'm trying to sleep upstairs.
Dads on nights, they're real things.
Scary, mate.
Monsters,
and a Caribbean dad, a West Indian dad on, you know what I mean, on like nights. It's like, mate,
wow.
You don't want that smoke, you know what I'm
saying? But there was just a constant array of like music in the household all the time.
Yeah, big brother, smiley, 2 sisters, dead smiley, mum's really smiley, and
Beautiful.
I think that energy, stays with you, doesn't it? I mean, I'm passing it down to Safi. She's like my daughter, Safi.
Already there.
She's like 20 months old. She's like beaming all the time. She had a little bit of a tantrum this morning, but they're few and far between.
Is that because she's not getting what she wants?
It's literally because she wanted to watch like Otis on the iPad.
Yeah.
And Amy, my missus, was like, I need to get you dressed because my dad's coming to pick us up and we're going to the farm. Or, I need to get your clothes on, Safi. And she's like, oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of parallel with Ella right here. So we'll get into childhood your childhood first. So then you're living in this household. Are you going to like a normal school, like a mainstream school?
Normal school, like Long Eaton, Brooklyn's junior school, then over to like Long Eaton school.
And was school quite an enjoyable time for you?
It was. Quite peculiarly, like, obviously my time, not as many like kids of colour in your year.
Yeah.
But, enough for you for the school and everybody in the year to for it not to be weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think those years were more sort of 10 years before me. My brother's time, so he probably had a slightly rougher time at school.
Have you ever reflected with that with him?
No, not really, but he seemed to be like really popular at school as well.
Right.
And then by the time you get to my two sisters, things become, black kids, Asian kids in, at schools in the 80s starts to become more of a norm.
All gelled together.
Yeah. But there was always going to be, of that time, those little issues with odd kids here and there that couldn't, wrap their head around the concept of kids of different colour, and all the rest of it. So you had those odd moments. But again, hip hop, I mean, it's been said a million times, and it really does bring cultures together.
100%.
I mean, hip hop sees no colour.
Yeah.
If you're a dope MC, you're a dope MC, regardless to whether you're white, black, Asian.
Yeah.
So I think hip hop, sort of, hitting the UK when it did, and me sort of coming of age when I did, it was like a perfect sort of combination.
Wow. Yeah.
And and I sort of became quite cool because I was popping and breaking, and what I mean.
Were you, the whole scene of it, the break dancing side, the rapping side,
not so much the rapping, so much, just more the popping in the 80s, and pop locking.
Wow.
And then obviously the scratching thing came from the music, and like, oh, that's really cool, like how's that done? And then you watch your first video, you see your first thing on TV with a DJ scratching. I think mine was Rocket, Herbie Hancock.
Really?
That was the first time I actually saw the guy scratching a record and was like, that's amazing.
We were saying about the get down before, and where they draw crayon.
That's right.
Is that a real thing then?
It's a real thing, yeah. So I think Flash and Theodore were the ones that pioneered that technique. I mean, I think like we always give it up to like Kool Herc and those DJs that are seen as the founding, the forefathers of the doing the first parties in the Bronx. But I think for me, with the technical side of DJing, I think what's sort of well known and documented is that Kool Herc wasn't particularly technically, that great technically. He just introduced certain records and threw massive parties. Right. I think when Grandmaster Flash and Theodore came in, Grandmaster Theodore, they were the ones that were sort of putting markers on the records,
added in the technicality,
and Sustat had to cut it back on beat, and and create loops and only scratch and cut up these certain records and with these drum breaks in, and and they sort of perfected the technique of it.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think passion is in everybody, but passion for a certain thing just lies in certain people. So, do you know what I mean? And they're the ones that are willing to put in them ridiculous hours that it takes to get there. And you can just tell when somebody's gravitated to what their purpose should be. It's the most breathtaking thing you can ever imagine, isn't it?
Incredible, isn't it?
Because I go into schools and teach poetry. But that moment where they're quite reluctant, we're saying about before with Ty Healy going into schools and doing workshops with you. They don't want to be there. They don't want to. They've heard poetry before. They think it's this elitist level. And then suddenly, you show them. Well, rap's basically poetry. Rhythm and poetry is what the abbreviation is. They go, okay. Then they start writing some lyrics down, and by accident, some of the kids that I work with, they're writing this real flowing words that just the syllables that they choose, the lyricism they use,
scary.
It falls into place by accident. And the rhyming words I'm like, you've got an inner rhyme there, and they go, oh yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Do you know what I mean?
That's
I go,
mad, isn't it?
You stick to this because you deserve to be doing this. And I think that's a little bit in me. I just write out. I do like a free write, really, as much as I can, and then edit it a little bit and look back through. But I'm going, oh, that's nice. That just fell into place. Thank God. And you read it back, or even I've done a track where it's been mixed and mastered and so on. You listen to it back and you go, oh, I rhymed that by accident and so on. So it just falls into place. And I suppose in that time where hip hop was coming through, DJing's coming into the prime, there would have all been discovering at the same time.
That's right, So
everyone's running into
Everybody's running into it. Everybody's getting into it. Everyone's wants to learn how to break dance. Everybody wants to know how are you doing that? How do you make how do you do that wave? Or
you're getting me like buzzing right now. I'm getting pimples.
It literally. I would say that kind of like rubbed out any issues that I may have continued to have to deal with, I think that kind of crushed those. And by the time, I leave like Brooklands Junior and move over to like the big school, you sort of, your confidence up then. So I've got my fat shoelaces in.
Yeah.
I've got my uniform on, but I've got my trainers with my fat shoelaces in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I'm like, and I'm like, right, I'm here. Do you know what I mean? I've arrived, and my confidence is there. Plus, I've got my two older sisters and my brother. So it was great. I think hip hop really did, help me through school.
Yes,
literally. I know it's a crazy thing to say, but
were you ever in trouble at school? Were you quite one of the good kids, or?
Yeah.
Because in my head, I've got you always playing music, headphones on, doing what you could to be out of the class.
Yeah.
Were you very musical at heart, and that's all you really wanted to be doing?
Yeah, quite scary. Yeah, you don't realise it, do you, when you're young, that you've clicked into music. So obviously my brother's bringing all these like electro hip hop records home, and Rapologist and Electro 1, 2. They go up to like, I think they end up getting to like 20 something in the end. And he's bringing all these records in, and I'm pop locking, I'm playing them. I'm sort of like, learning the lyrics to the tracks.
Yeah.
So then I'm going to school, and this is all sort of flying around my head. So yeah, you don't realise, but you just, I think there's a point when you start to realise, oh, actually, music is kind of a big part of who I am.
Yeah.
And once you've
It's just a feeling.
It's a feeling. Yeah. And once you make that connection, everyone else makes that connection.
Yeah.
And then you become like the music guy at school or whatever. So yeah.
So you're at school and you're trying to throw yourself into anything musical, and then as soon as you go home, it's
music,
headphones on, and then instrument based, or have you got your decks at this point?
Well, no. So my mum and dad had brought me a guitar for my birthday when I was younger, and I was just like, don't need that. And they bought me a sort of boom box, like a twin deck, boom box. Boom box, and it had like a play side and a play and record side.
Cool.
Right, and then it had radio, and it had two woofers and a tweeter, and that was my thing. It ran on batteries, but you obviously you plug it in as well.
Yeah.
And and weirdly I'd had to loop things on a tape deck. So I'd have one cassette tape that would be playing breakbeats or whatever, or a part of a track, and then I would like take the pause off on a blank cassette tape, take the pause off, pause it at the end of the loop, rewind that back, play it again, and then catch the loop again. And I would keep doing that, and I'd suss that out to loop things.
Really?
And a good friend of mine called Daniel Lawman, his mum had a one deck in her kitchen that had like a left and right volume and a tone fader. It was one of those 7-inch ones that drops the 7-inch down, and it plays it. You put it on the thing and it drops it down.
Okay.
Then the arm goes across and it drops down and plays it. And we just basically sawed the spindle thing right down with a junior hacksaw. Right, snapped off the thing and actually pulled on one speaker out and then used the level fader as a up and down.
Wow.
And we'd learned how to do, by the age of like 14, 15, we'd learned like some of the like dopest cuts. We'd like,
I'm eating mud at that stage. I'm outside picking up grass, throwing sticks at my mate's stones. You
might not have been born at that point.
No,
mate,
well, definitely not.
So that was kind of like, where it all really started, the connection.
Wow.
Like, and I realised, actually there's this thing that I'm sort of starting to get good at. My mate Daniel Lund was dope at it as well.
Really?
Yeah, but I actually took that deck from him, took it home and hooked it up to my boombox, and then that's what really got me flying on the scratching. But shout out to Daniel Lawman, because he's...
Shout out, mate. What a guy.
Yeah.
So you're 14... Do your mates want you to put on parties then?
So we haven't quite got my first set of decks.
Yeah, I love this timeline, mate.
It's crazy.
This is one of my favourite stories ever on this bus.
It's crazy. My good friend Masood, when I started big school, Masood, and there was Masood and Edgy, and another guy called Brez, and another guy called Edgy. We had our own crew. They were a lot older than me, by the way.
Right, okay.
Mass was like 2 years older than me at school. Brez was like same age as my sister, so quite a bit older than me. But we'd sort of made friends. All had this hip hop thing in connection. Masood and Brez, by the way, amazing breakdancers. They had like, all the music you see on the Beat Street film.
Yeah.
The stars and the windmills and the flares. They had that all locked off completely.
Seriously,
dope B-boys. They were really, really dope. Yeah, like they was watching they were getting VHS tapes from somewhere, and just, you know, locking it all down, you know, sort of in the early 80s. So by the time I met them, they were like flying. And then we built this little crew.
Nice.
So Mass was like, oh, you know, these beats you're looping up, these are really cool. Like I think I can rap. And then he started rapping. And
was he good to start with as well?
He was great, yeah.
Great rapper.
Great rapper, yeah.
Wow.
We were called Shades because he was Asian, Brez was white, I was black. There was another guy called Wayman. He was Chinese.
This is great.
And then there's Edgy, who's also black. And so we were called Shades, you know, different shades.
Yeah. I've got the album cover in my head right now. Like, this is genius. This is great.
And
please get this again. Like from how old you all are now. Make it happen just for a remake.
I know, mate. I know. Well, we actually ended up getting to record in a professional studio.
Wow.
By the time I would say I think I had my decks then. I had my Technics by then. So I reckon I would have been about like 16 or 17. And then we actually got our first.
How did you get to be in a professional studio?
So I'm trying to work out how that happened. But somebody booked it. I'm not sure if it was Justin, a friend of mine called Justin Roberts. Shout out to Justin Roberts.
Yeah.
But somebody had hooked it up in Nottingham.
Really?
And a guy called Rob Virgo. So he's the uncle of the well-known Virgo, the bassline house DJ from Nottingham.
Links, man, links.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Robert was working in the studio, and we walked in. You know, like his kids walked in. I walked in with like 2 decks. Justin had a pile of breakbeats.
Wow.
We walked into the studio. Mass, he's only small. This Asian guy, Mass, he raps. He walks in. He's like, Wayman walks in. He's like, God, look at these dudes. Who are these guys? And we set up all the stuff, and then, you know, and we like, loop that bit there, put that on top of that, da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, what? Well, it's like we dropped out of space sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then Mass went in and literally one take, you know, recorded his verse, which wasn't like 16 bars. Back in the day, you just rapped and rapped and rapped.
Yeah,
you know,
I like that.
Rap and just rap. So that was our first.
So just said as much as you needed to say.
Yeah.
That's
It's all
cool.
conscious stuff as well.
Yeah.
You know, he's a Muslim, so it was all, he was brought up with the
From
whole.
the heart.
Yeah. Brought up in, brought up as a Muslim, so he was doing all the like conscious rap.
I love it.
Yeah. So. And that's kind of. I'll get you a copy of the track.
It's still.
I've still got a copy of the track. Yeah,
brilliant! Please do, man.
It's really dope. But that was our whole like. Again, I suppose like being really young, we sort of like realised, oh look, it's hip hop thing. You know, it's actually keeping us out of trouble. I mean, from as young as the breakdancing thing, when I met them, you know, it kept us out of trouble.
Because if you didn't have that in your life, if that was obsolete, would you have just been in fighting, trouble?
Just walking around the streets.
Really?
You know, breaking bush out windows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, you go to the youth club, you're battling other guys, you're breakdancing, you're popping, you're learning how to do it. You know, me and Mass would have like pop-in sessions.
Do you still have these moves on you? Like, you still, when you're in a club, do you not give it a bit of a... Because you can be the embarrassing dad now. You can be the dancer in the background.
I will do when something gets to like 5, 6.
Oh, you've got to.
And the friends come round, I'll start like breakdancing on the floor. Like.
I can't wait for them days. But I am the most dancey dad of all time, I'm going to absolutely embarrass. I don't know if I can be that cruel. You've actually got to move, so it's kind of that, I'm embarrassed, but he is a bit cool.
It won't be TikTok, it was something else. But it should be like TikTok and a dad like pop locking on.
Oh, mate.
It's
incredible.
But yeah, that journey, like you know, going back to what we was on about before, I think hip hop is, you know, I think it's really important for
a big part of who you are.
Massively,
and why you became the person you are today.
Yeah.
Wow. So this is exciting, mate. This is very exciting. Is there other podcasts out? Have you done many podcasts where you've gone into your history and background? Because it's fascinating.
I've done a little bit with BFG. BFG has a clothing line called Born Big Clothing. He was doing a series of podcasts, but we only touched on. He only had a limited time.
Of course.
So we grazed on my brother's influence and some of the records that he brought into the house, which are like vary from Duran Duran to Level 42 to like, you know, African Bombard and the Soul Sonic 4s to like Grandmaster Melly Man and the Furious 5. It's like new romantic over to like soul funk, you know, like Shaka Khan, Shalimar. It just it was, my brother was into everything and he bought everything. Do you know what I mean? So we you know, that time when I was talking to BFG about it on his podcast, it was more of, you know, the sort of the different types of influences that you know that made me the DJ that I am today. Hence the scattered, you know, music in my stream sometimes. Sometimes I'm playing really old dusties and then I'm playing like 80s funk and then I'm going back to hip hop. Do you know what I mean? So it's because all that was.
So and what is the age where you sort of define yourself as an artist and you know your niche or who you are as an artist. Where are you at this point?
I think that probably when I got my Technic, so that'd be 16.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, about 16,
Had
17.
you done an actual gig yet? Had you been on a stage?
No, I did. I used to do the under 18s. They used to have an under 18s disco that they would do. Like once every few months in Long Eaton at the Leisure Centre.
Love it. I've just got the best image in my head ever.
And I used to have a roller skating on a Sunday, and the guys that would have the DJ set up there, they would say, "Oh yeah, come up and have a scratch." So I did bits on those parties, and that's where the confidence and the belief in actually
I can do this.
Yeah, I've got my decks at home, and I'm practicing pretty much every day.
Yeah,
you know, I did all right tonight up there. Maybe I could, and I think I got my first resident was an under 18s disco thing that would happen in Stapleford once a week, and I would do that and take my records down on my deck set up and do it, and that's where it all sort of began.
Was that be like an entry level deck set?
It was. By that time I had my Technics.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
okay.
I was quite fortunate. My sister, shout out to my sister Gillian.
Yeah.
I started apprenticeship engineering, so I followed suit with my brother and did a day release.
Right.
And would go to college on Monday, then do the rest of the days in the factory working. And then I'd saved up all my wages. I was like 75 quid a week or something like that.
Dude,
back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
And I would chuck it in this little bucket thing and close it like this little box, chuck it in, leave it there. And then I had the money for like one Technics deck. And then my sister says, right, now you've got the money for one, I'll get the other one, but you'll pay me, I'll pay for it monthly and you pay me. So shout out to my sister.
Oh,
Gillian.
mate, that's giving me goosebumps as well. That's beautiful.
So I got the two decks, the mixer, and then I was able to, really go to it. So that was about 16, 17.
How
17.
inspiring is that story, though, for young people now?
Yeah.
You realise, no, I do need to graft because I've got that image in mind. I know what I want.
Yeah.
And I think that's people's problem nowadays because they're too elusive in life and they don't know what they're after. But as soon as you go, I know what I like. Yeah. I've built my purpose. Yeah. This is how I'm going to attain it. Yeah. You've got the reason to go and do that shitty, I can say it, job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I ended up falling in Thorntons for a while. Yeah. But I had no idea what I wanted out of my life or who I was, any passion at all. Right. So I'm just going, is this my life now? Is this what I do? Yeah. To go out on the weekend and be with my mates and try and get girls, get drunk, forget what we all got up to, and just do that again? Is this really what we're going to do? But if I'd have had that, no, I want to do this to get that money in because I want to get on stages and be a poet and perform and then eventually go into... If I'd have had that set up, there would have been no chronic depression from working in that sort of industry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just finding them influences.
It's weird, isn't it? Because it doesn't always dawn on you straight away. So, like you say, when you was at Thorntons, amazing that you had the epiphany. You had the light bulb came on momentarily and was like...
Oh, it didn't come on there, though. No, I'm just meaning it. Yeah. I wished I'd have had that.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean? I wished I'd have thought of, I've got this purpose set up. Right. I know what I'm doing. Yeah. But I walked out of there in a strop, threw everything over, shouted at the boss, because I was dancing on the aisle. Right. I'm the guy like you, man. Yeah. If I'm in a bad situation, I'm going to make this as good as possible. Yeah. So I'm having a laugh, and then the guy goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, packing chocolates like everyone else. He goes, "Not like that, you're not." So I just remember, I was quite poetically, I started crying into a box of chocolates and I'm packing them up. And the light bulb moment there was, F this. Yeah. I'm not taking this sort of muggins anymore. Yeah. So I threw it away, and then I went away, booked a ticket the next day to go to Australia for a year. That was it. I need to get out of here.
Amazing.
Ripley is small town, nothing going on. Like, it's pretty much where the EDL branched from. So it's very, very small town mindset.
Yeah.
And then it was while I was away in South Africa. I lived in South Africa for a year. Yeah. And I'd lost a friend to a knife crime incident when I was away. And my dad called me. But that's where I started writing. And writing came to me. I was still at 21, 22.
Incredible.
So I'd never had a passion, never had a purpose, nothing before. Yeah. But that was like, no, I've got something to say now. And I've always been scared of writing because of my dyslexia.
Right.
But
I suffer with that as well.
Mate, we're in. Yeah. So I was saying, I was lucky to stumble on my purpose and my passion because of a horrific incident.
Yeah, that's horrible.
And I got I was suicidal in my life, man. I got really low.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying for young people now, 15, 16, 17, if you could give advice to if I could give advice to younger Mike and say, just try and find something about you.
Yeah.
Then when you're going into these industries, going into these places of work, you're going to get through a lot easier because you've got something to come out with.
You've got a purpose.
Do you know what I mean?
You always have to have a purpose.
I think it's so real.
There's a connection between me and you, which was that moment where your boss told you, you're not packing the chocolates like that, mate.
Yeah.
Well, I was at work, same thing. It was just a bark, and a breaking point. I was engineering, it was tool making. It's a skilled job, and no disrespect to those that are. It's well paid skilled job, by the way. Really well paid. If you're making precision engineering, cylindrical grinding and milling, and that's what I was doing. But the gaffer I worked for made my working hours unpleasant.
Right.
And I had a breaking point, and I came home and had a teary moment with my mum in the kitchen, and and I told my dad, look, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And they says, no, well, if it's getting you that down, we didn't realise it was getting you that down, knock it on the head. Do you know what I mean? And it was weird because, my mum and dad aren't always unified, but they were very unified in...
That's amazing.
Yeah, we don't want to see you coming home upset from work, so if you don't want to do it, don't do it. Tell him you're leaving and quit, sort of thing. And I thought,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, man. I thought I was going to go, no, you need to get, you need to keep your job,
Yeah.
So, and at that time, I did have my decks upstairs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was sort of slowly becoming popular through, there was the word was creeping out. Oh, there's this guy from Long Eaton that scratches. And he's quite good. He's all right. He's got
16,
some decks. 17. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we have that in common. That moment you're talking about. Yeah, it's
100%.
very important. I think you need that push.
Yeah.
Everyone needs that little push, that.
You need to go through hardship, but you don't have to hit every branch on the way down.
No.
That's the thing a lot of young people now feel is, I'll just make it on my own. It's like, you've not got enough time in the world to just make all the mistakes.
Yeah.
You need to make some and go through it, go through your pain, but learn from others as well and take that wisdom that they've lived through and been from. So the story you told there, I was going... This is a really inspiring story. You were a young person. Yeah. You knew what you wanted. You had a passion here. Yeah. You got enough money here. And then you had a little bit of help with it too. Yeah. Beautiful. I think a lot of people could take out from that.
Yeah. Shout out to Gillian. She's awesome. I was speaking to her the other day. She's lovely. She's just checking in. She's
seeing what you're with.
Steve, you're all right? I'm just checking in.
Nah,
I was like, hey, babes,
no,
you're all right?
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just checking in, babes.
So then you built up. You've got this deck that you paid for. Good bit of money.
Yeah, 300 quid for the Technics back in the day. Yeah. And Joe got the other one. Joe got me the other ones. I remember there's a shop in Nottingham called Superfi. I think it's just closed down just recently. But walked in, money down, cash down for one. Jill goes, right, she set up the payment debit thing with them and walked out with two Technics decks.
And did you know what to do with them from then?
Yeah.
You saw them and you thought, I've done this on this kit. Yeah. I know exactly what to do with these.
So my good friend, who's DJ Profit, his name's Michael Selby. Shout out to Selby.
So many shout outs on the air.
Yeah. So
I'm tagging them all in it too.
Tag them all in, yeah. So Selby had again, I lived this end of Long Eaton, he lived that end of Long Eaton, and then we was introduced to each other. So I went round to his yard and had a scratch, and he was like, "Yeah, he's wicked." Do you know what I mean? And he was wicked as well. And so he gave me his old set originally, which was like a belt-driven set of decks.
Yeah.
So then it was like time to get the Technics. So then left school. And we're leaving school and then started the apprenticeship. Jill was like, come on then, let's get you, got my money saved up, let's get you Technics. So shout out to Selby because he actually was the one that was like, really sort of helped me get the two decks flying thing. Understanding that there's a mixer between the two decks. Watching him DJing, he had all the records, all the break beats. So there are key people in my journey.
You could have a book, couldn't you? Like your mentors on the way, and just give them all a section.
Yeah, my brother most definitely, Gillian obviously, and my sister Alison as well, and then there are these key hip hop, these people that are also doing hip hop that I met along the way that helped me to get where I was getting to. So
emanates, doesn't it? Builds out.
Yeah.
So then at this age, you're getting ready to go into gigging and getting, what is it, your own bit of a place to play? What do they call it?
A venue or residency.
Yeah, that's the word. I wanted to use your word, but I was like, I forgot it.
so that was so that became into the sort of the early 90s. So I left school in 89. So 1991. Yeah, so we're like 91 now, 92. So the rave thing's big.
Oh.
So now the whole Prodigy.
Yes.
SL2, that whole thing, that was starting to emerge, and there was a lot of sampling from hip hop tracks in them songs. So a lot of hip hop DJs and scratch DJs sort of moved over.
Right.
Slipmat would be the most well-known one, who scratched and come from the hip hop scene, but there's loads of them. There's a ton of them. DJ Psy, he was like scratching, doing hip hop, and he went over to that scene.
Right.
D2, he's from Nottingham. They all sort of came through the hip hop thing and did the rave thing. DJ Trade also did it as well.
Okay.
Amazing, from Nottingham. Incredible scratch DJ. These are some of my scratch heroes.
Are they friends as well?
Friends? I don't know Trade. I've never got to meet Trade, but we have friends in common. Joe Buddha was Trade was Joe Buddha's DJ. So now
scene's amazing.
Yeah. So now I'm quite, sort of close with Buddha.
Yeah.
He sort of, if I do a video and send it to Buddha of me like mimicking a Trade scratch, he will send it to Trade. And Trade would be like, God, who's that? And he's like, oh, he's one of your geek fans from back in the day.
Geek fans.
So there's a journey of things that happen. So my residency started when the rave thing sort of kicked in.
Right.
So I'm doing the hip hop and the rave thing. Buying these records. My brother's buying these records. I'm buying them, and hip hop records. These hip hop loops are occurring in these rave tracks. So that's what glues your ear to it. And they would chop samples from like Ultramagnetics. I think the most well-known one from Prodigy would be I Take Your Brain to Another Dimension.
Yeah.
Play Close Attention. That's from...
Love it when that kicks in.
Cool
Any
Keith.
party that starts, we're in. Oh.
All that was taken from hip-hop. So,
right.
So, again, you would imagine that Liam... is it Liam, the producer from Prodigy? Yeah. He's obviously a hip-hop guy as well also. So they're making these great tracks that sort of hit in the sweet spot for the majority, and also this hip hop crowd over there that, oh, this is wicked, like I know that breakbeat, I know that sample. So you start going to these raves, and then I met this guy called KGB, who's still to this day, I spoke to him literally the other day. KGB was like putting on these events at a club called The Low in Derby. It's not there anymore. It's called The Low Club. And so again, Dave, another friend of mine called Dave, and I forget his mate's name. Dave was like, oh, look, we know KGB. We're going to take you to KGB's house and you can meet KGB.
Together. I love
and
it.
He's like, yeah. And me and him just clicked. And, it was kind of like, right, Dave, you can piss out the way, mate. Like, I've made this connection with this little dude. He's sick. Like, we're going to build something together. And KGB literally was like, right, I've got this night I'm doing. I'm going to put you on these nights where you get to play like this hip-hoppy, ravey stuff. And that was it. Literally, I was like, pretty much within a few years of having my 1210s, not really much in it. I think it was like literally just turning 18.
This is incredible.
He's like scooped me up from Long Eaton and thrown me into a club.
At 18. And you're basically doing exactly what you'd ever want to be doing at that age.
Scratching.
Yeah.
And over this like fast scratching as well at that time, So big shout out to KGB.
That threw you into it.
Yeah, he's definitely on the list of important people.
I want you to write a book, mate, of mentors and just do a whole chapter on each of these people because they sound absolutely incredible and so important. And I think so many people could benefit from having one in their life at least. So
I was so lucky. I had a ton of them.
I'm saying now you've had so many of these influences and great people in your life.
Yeah.
Do you get to be that now? Have you had a lot of opportunity to give that?
I have a student currently. Well, I'm skipping a lot of years now.
Yeah, we won't stay there. I'll come back. I'll bring us back. But
I have a student right now. It fits in sweet with what you just said there.
Yeah.
His name's Nico Gray. I actually know his mum Joy, and my missus used to look after his younger brother and sister at nursery. She used to work for Treetops. It's mad. The connection's insane, It's just like, and when she's seen me and Amy together on our photo, she was like, oh, yeah, I know Amy. She used to look after Nico's brother and younger brother and stuff. So Nico's learning how to DJ, and we've just clicked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, literally not just a DJ tutor, he's coming with me to my gigs. He comes to my house, we sort music out.
This is stunning.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, I think I'm like what KGB was for me. Only Kev wasn't really teaching me how to DJ. KGB wasn't teaching me how to DJ, but what he did is he literally took me from the bedroom and doing like little parties here and there around Long Eaton to a nightclub. Do you know what I mean?
And how many would you say are at this event? Well,
the Low Club hold about 400 people. It had like a bridge that went across the top where the decks were. So you look down and people behind you in front of you, and then the bars around the bottom. And he literally threw me up on top
paint me a picture then as well, what you're looking out onto.
So I'd have the decks would be there, and I'd be looking down, and it'd just be like, the low would be full of people.
Was it madness?
Madness, yeah.
Was
absolutely. Threw me right into the, he trusted me more than I trusted myself. He'd seen what I was doing in the bedroom. We would go to his flat. He lived at this place. It's always a funny joke I always have with him. It was called Bedrock Bikes. It was like a motorbike shop, and he lived like in the flat next to it or above it or whatever. And we'd go there, and he had like a wall full of speakers because he hired speakers out. So he had all these huge speakers hooked up to his decks, and we would have we'd scratch for hours and hours and mix like these rave songs and scratch over them and put sets together for hours and hours. And we clicked, and he was like, right, I'm putting you on these nights. And he threw me in. Eventually it turned from the Low to the Red Zone, which was like, which was the old Ritzy in Derby. Yeah. It was like 1,500, 1,200. So it went, I went from like sort of 400 capacity to like big venues and doing events in like Burton-on-Trent. That was like in massive like halls with like 2,000 people in. And,
so stunning. I mean, it's interesting because when you're in a clique, say the DJ scene, the music scene, whatever scene, they're all very different, aren't they?
Yeah.
The way you're describing the DJ scene, it sounds so inclusive. Yeah. Everybody just seems together. Does it get a bit cliquey? Does it get a bit weird? Are there people that are egos flying about? Yeah. Or how?
And I would imagine maybe when I was younger, I'd probably not noticed it as much, just being in the bubble that I was in. Yeah. And sort of being a little bit dizzy also. Do you know what I mean? I was like a bit
naive
dizzy.
to it, just taking it on.
Yeah, I was meeting all these people like, this is Fever, he's decorative scratching. All right, mate, right, I'm so and so, and you're like, oh, mate, and Kev's introduced me to all these people. A lot older than me as well, so I'm just like sort of a little bit dizzy and a little bit like just trying to get my head around what's happening. And so I think the egos were around, but I was just in this beam of light and a little bit dazzled, by the light, not really paying attention to any hate that was knocking around.
I get you.
I couldn't really see it at that time, but I think now, I think as I've got older and been in the scene a lot longer, you start to notice things more now.
That's fascinating you say that, actually. Because I really valued my naivety going into poetry, because
it's beautiful, isn't it?
Getting on a stage and performing, it didn't matter who I met, say even John Cooper Clarke's there or whoever you'd meet on the way, and they're like, do you know you've just spoken to him? I'm going, no, just a person I really enjoyed their set or whatever. I mean, I've seen John Cooper Clarke on the bigger stage, but I'd still be meeting artists that people go, oh, do you know who that was? Yeah. But I didn't have that in my heart. I just enjoyed what I was doing. Yeah. And then I think you nailed it then. The longer you get into it, I had a mate and goes, you're a bit naive, and seen it as a bad thing and treated it as a bad thing. No, whereas I'd hurtle myself into all opportunity. Yeah. But then when I started getting a bit thoughtful of the places I was at, and I'd get nervous towards people then. I was going, oh, that's a bigger name. I've got to treat it like this. Yeah. And it turned my head on it, and I started losing the love for the thing that got me into the way out of feeling shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, makes sense.
I genuinely lost a bit of love for it in that regard, because I twisted on his head. I've seen it in a different way. Yeah, that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I mean, the thing is, it's a weird one, because when you get into these things, I don't believe anybody is premeditating or predicting anything. I think you can, to a certain point, you can sort of say, well, I want to do this is how I want to do it, this is the music I want to play, blah, blah, blah. But you can never really 100% know how this is going to work out. So when you're going into it, you are always going to be a bit blinded.
Yeah.
You know, especially as quick as it sounds like me and you were sort of thrown into things.
Yeah.
You are going to be dizzy. I think I would always say it's good to be blind and naive to the negative parts of it.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. I think that's the most. I think that's like the most innocent, great thing that can happen to you is that you can just be like, you know, if you are DJing and you're smashing it, and somebody behind you.
This is just great.
Yeah, it's just great because you're in your vortex.
Yeah.
And no one's, you know, wherever the negative energy
Fantastic
is,
attitude.
it can't get in, can it? You know what I mean? Whilst you're in your moment.
Yeah.
So I think for me now, it comes in weird forms. Not so much like, you know, not so much like evil stares or, you know, or you know, or off-putting comments or anything. It more comes in like behaviour, just odd little behaviours that happen from time to time. So a couple of DJs that I taught and spent a lot of time with scratching, like don't talk anymore, just stop speaking.
Okay.
So, you know, it's in their behaviour.
There are those
Well, it's just in their behaviour. So, you know, and because I'm a good energy person, I always try to keep my energy positive and try and keep it good.
I like that idea though, the balance factor, you know, stay blind to the negative. You've got your eyes a little open, you know where you're at, you can structure yourself and navigate yourself, but it doesn't stop you in your tracks either. I think there's an awesome fine tune to be had there.
Definitely.
And I think I've just resurfaced that a little bit after the COVID days, to be honest, man, because I was getting a bit too tuned in and trying to make it, like everyone does this make it quest. And then I went back and had a word with myself during COVID and I was like, but now you're just stressed. Now you're just over trying and you're trying to speak to certain names and do certain things and it killed it. But then you go, why did you start in the first place? Oh, because it felt incredible. It was the feeling again. And I've gone back with that attitude and made myself a little naive to what I was before, but then I'm just going to do it for the love of it again. Do it for the love of it. It's my favourite band song, do it for the love of music.
It's got to be
like
for the love.
Drop.
It's got to be for the love. You know, the love comes first and then the perks come after. You know, when I'm quite spiritual, so you know, if it's going to happen, you know, and you apply yourself to it and you speak to your inner and tell yourself that's what you're going to do, it'll all fall in place.
It does,
and that kind of like offsets the other stuff, you know what I mean? It kind of falls by the wayside. The people that don't speak to me anymore that I used to have, you know, good relationships with, it kind of like, it's weird because it's like I've not spoken to them for that long and they're sort of that distant from me now. It's almost like, oh, cool, it's all right. I'm all right. But my heart's always open. You see, I'm not a shut the door type of person. My front door's always open. I always say to my friends, like, you know, like Littles and everyone, front door's always open, mate. You know, pop round when you're ready. Do you know what I mean? And that's literally like, you know.
And I'm quite empathetic actually towards those people that get angry and are on that make it train. Because I felt it too, so I can understand it now. I can go, oh, it doesn't feel comfortable, does it?
No.
So when you're watching them really tenacious and on their path and quest of becoming this thing, it can be very lonely when you end up getting there anyway.
A bit stressful getting there as well.
And it's just an uncomfortable train on the way.
It is,
So I look at them and I don't think, oh, you twat, get back on here. But I'm just thinking, bless, it can't feel good.
No.
And have you been there? Have you felt that then, or did you stay quite pure throughout?
I tried to stay quite pure. I mean, because I
wish we were mates. When could have done with that, you know.
Because I mean, for me, it was like, you know, something that you love doing. You know, it's like how many, you know, especially when I first started getting money from it, when it's the first when somebody gave me my first
invoice
envelope with some cash, I'm like, oh, cheers, mate. I'm like, I felt like I had not done anything. I felt like you just give me some money. So you know, that was, you know, obviously we don't do it for the money, but that's the point I'm trying to make. It's like you've been loving this thing all your life up to this point, and then all of a sudden someone taps you on the shoulder and hands you an envelope with some money in it. I think that's the secret. Is to stay focused on this thing that you love doing.
Awesome.
And then, you know, everything just, it's like a really complex like thing that just all falls in place. Do you know what I mean? It's dead hard to explain. I was watching Interstellar the other night.
Oh, what a film. What a mad film.
And it was like, you know, I'd watched it, I've seen it like probably 5 times already, but I was just like, shutting down my laptop to go upstairs, to go to bed, and I was just thought, let me just flip through see what's on Sky Movies or whatever, sci-fi. And I got to sci-fi. I've got the we've got the stick, you know, the
Fire Stick,
the bargain TV thing.
Okay, yeah.
So we've got like over
everything,
about 2,000 channels.
Anything you need.
So I was like scrolling down, I seen sci-fi. I thought, and I seen Interstellar. I was like,
and you not watched it before?
Oh no, I've seen it 5 times before.
Yeah.
But I was just like, where? I wonder where it is. I thought I just got to see where it is before I go upstairs to bed.
Yeah.
I was meant to turn the telly off and go to bed, but I was just like, click. This is all coming back to what we were talking about before. But it was that scene when, where he's been propelled into like an infinite access of time, right?
Yeah.
And it's a bit deep to go here in this conversation.
Please do, man. We're far enough in to go deep.
But I'm watching it again, about the 6th time I've seen the scene, do you know what I mean? And I'm like, this is really weird, like, you know, it's relatable because, you know, without actually being at point B, when you're at point A, you're sort of thinking, this is what I want to do. And, you know, you sort of like, in your mind, you're working yourself to this point. And then by the time you get to point B, you don't realise you're at point B. You're on a stage, scratching, cutting up, looking down at like 400 people, and you're like, oh, right, I'm here.
Really? Yeah.
I'm at point B. It's a little bit interstellar.
I know what you're saying,
do you get what I mean? Like,
that's a great way of putting it.
Do you get what I mean?
Definitely.
Like, you know, you was there looking at yourself, you know, closing your eyes at night time, imagining yourself DJing in front of people. And then before you know it, you're actually doing it.
I think I've had different timelines. I think I had that moment of discovery.
Yeah.
So within 3 months, I've played a Russell Brand gig. I was on a Russell Brand stage doing a poem.
That's amazing.
I've met the Rizzle Kicks and performed on one of the stages with a Rizzle Kick.
That's sick.
And they're not name drops, but it was just a really quick timeline because I allowed it to happen because I was naive, but I was hurtling into everything.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, when it become clunky and I wasn't getting the opportunities, or it's when I was overthinking it and really trying to piece it together and go, okay, now I've done well, I've got the website and the name, so now I'm going to work it out and put myself where I want to be. And that's where it started to go, oh no, that doesn't quite work and gel. So I think how you just explained that then, I'm going to clip that bit of the podcast out and keep playing it back every time I fall out of position.
It was dead weird.
So that's brilliant. That's a great way of
seeing that moment, just ironically just about to turn the telly off, flicked through, seen Interstellar, clicked on it just to see where it was. It's one of my favourite movies. Clicked on it, was like, oh shit, my favourite.
Being in that state of flow, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just like, oh look, this, and I thought, oh, that's weird, isn't it? Because I remember this is a bit weird. It's like when you picture yourself doing something and then you're doing it, like, you know, a year later or a month or so later. I think there's a lot to be taken away from, like that inner vision, and you know, and that belief in yourself, and
it's
then
like The Secret.
It is, isn't it?
It really is like The Secret, and I think when you tune into it, you picture it, you know what you want, but then you just flow with it and you allow it to become, and you don't try and overwork
Don't force it.
Force it. That's the word. I love that. And can you remember them times then where your best moments, where you've been there in thousands maybe?
Mate,
what am I doing here?
I had the most craziest Interstellar moment in Dubai. So
I love you, man.
It was insane, and it actually. I've shout out to Funky T. I had a conversation with my friend Funky T. He was through the lockdown. He was having a few ups and downs, and we spent a lot of time on the phone talking. And it was therapeutic, him talking to me, you know, because he's quite an intelligent guy. He's quite good vocab and very tuned in. So I was explaining to him because we was talking about you know, that inner voice and all the rest of it, and just, you know, telling yourself, you know, and telling yourself over and over again, and then, you know, sort of walking it and then making it happen. And we were having that conversation. I said to him, you know, I had a crazy dream when I was really young. Well, when I say young, I had my dread, so a bit older now, about 20, 21, maybe 22.
Back in the timeline.
Still living at my mum's, still living at my mum's. I wasn't independent yet. I was still a bit of a scallywag, living at my mum's. And I had this dream of sort of being on a stage that was on a stage. It was weird. Very, very sort of vivid, very specific.
Meta.
Very specific. And there was like thousands of people in front, and it was only a quick vision. But back then, I used to like pray a lot and sort of ask God to give me things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sometimes selfishly as well. You know, oh God, I want this, or God, I need another scratch mixer, or God, I need a. But I remember really like I used to pray a lot to DJ. I was like, oh look, I really want to do this.
Okay, so go from materialistic to sort of
genuine,
very wholesome,
like my heart is really in the prayer. Like I want to. This is what I want to do. I want, can't you make this work for me, sort of thing. And I remember having this dream of DJing. It was like a stage. It was very weird. And then we was in Dubai, me and BFG, and it was an Autism Rocks event, and it was Flow Rider and Tiger, and we was in between the two acts, DJing, and so BFG had come off the stage. We had 4 decks up. He decided he was going to grab the mic and hype the crowd up, and I was going to DJ. And obviously, you know what it's like on these big events. They have like the techs will sound check you on your stage, slide you off, and then would already have a drum kit, keyboard. His stage would be slid out, his keyboards would be all set up, they'll plug him in, he's already been sound checked, and it's all digitally sorted on a desk at the other end, right? So they just recall the settings. So they were sliding out the Flow Rider band and their DJ, and they were over there setting up, and B was like down off the stage that we was on, up elevated up on the stage. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like playing like Paris, Kanye West and Jay-Z, and there's like thousands. I mean, I think it was like about 15,000. Something like that. It was crazy. It was like the Autism Rocks arena, so it was like an arena full of like kids going nuts.
Dude.
And I'm playing pretty much like my student set, and BFG's on the mic hyping them up, and right at that moment, I was like, when you get that weird, like, wait, why have I been here? I've been here already. I've done this. Like, I've seen this already, or I've done it already. It's dead weird. It tripped me out for flipping ages, man. It spun me out. Yeah, man.
Was that just a moment where you felt it, or
so I was in the middle of I was in the middle of mixing. I actually threw my mix as well.
Really?
Because I was like, wait, what's going on?
You had a bit of an existential.
Yeah. And I remember seeing this in a dream. Like literally identical, like up on a stage, And I was telling Funky T, and it spun him out. It was like, oh my God, Fees, I've got goosebumps.
Correct. That again, the goosebump moment came. How did you tune back in from that?
Well, I think it kind of muted me for a bit. I was a bit like, I went
that's powerful.
It really is. Yeah,
that is wild.
Yeah, I was trying to like,
it's a lot stronger than deja vu.
No, it is.
I had this dream. No. I'm living it out. What does that mean the dream state is to reality state? Parallel. Mate, yeah, that's fascinating.
I couldn't, obviously, because I couldn't work out what had just happened.
Yeah.
So it threw me a little bit. But yeah, once we finished that set, I was sort of like, I was a bit like, it was like we go up to the bit, get food and drinks, and we was watching, Flow Rider perform from the back.
Nice.
And I was just like, trying to process
what's just happened.
Yeah, it really did trip me out, man. So the conversation with Funky T was really like, I think there is something there if you can tell yourself and control your mind and tell it what you want to do. Right, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to do this.
Finds its place.
I think the universe kind of moves out of the way, and
I'm a believer. Yeah. I'm in. I've got a spiritual heart, and I think that is a factor of life.
Yeah.
And at the moment you step outside of your truth or your authentic self or where you're supposed to be, I think that's very telling too. And it's not always wise to find a connection in everything, because you can drive yourself a bit mad. Coincidence is in every factor. I've got friends like that. Love them to pieces, but I'm like, just calm down a bit now. Can we just play FIFA or do something else? Because they just want to go, oh, that means this and that. And I'm going, you're going to run yourself out of energy.
Yeah.
But for the most part, or the main part where you can tune in and go, oh, that feels like this is a sign now. I'm going to use that because I know where I want to be. And it's come back all the way back round to that knowing what you want. Really believing in, thinking out, having that process, and then allowing it to flow.
Just allowing it to flow. It's a desire that's deep inside, you see, and it's what you want to do. You probably speak to athletes, people that that won 10 gold medals, at the Olympics. You know what I mean? They've all probably had a moment where they've in the middle of training.
There's a great. Is it Michael Phelps, the swimmer?
Yes.
My friend always reminds me on this, and he got asked because when he won all the gold medals, did he have 4 in the Olympics?
Did he win? I thought, was it 7?
Might have been, yeah, 7, way more. Sorry, I sold you out. If you're watching this, mate, I'm sorry. But he was swimming, and on his last lap, his goggles all filled up with water. And the interviewer said, how do you feel overcoming that hurdle? Or how did it feel basically swimming blind? And he said, it was just how I felt it'd be anyway. I knew I was going to win. He'd already channeled it. He'd already had it in his heart, in his mind.
Amazing?
He knew he was going to win it.
Love it.
So he won it. And he just said it felt the same. And I thought, wow,
that's powerful, man.
Cool, isn't it?
Yeah, powerful.
And it just meta-programmed himself so far into this state of, this is mine.
Yeah.
I've trained exactly how I needed to train.
Yeah.
I've become the person I needed to be for this moment.
Yeah.
I feel at the optimum of my game.
Yeah.
This is it now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what comes my way. We're doing it.
I'm winning this.
I loved it.
I've got the best times on the board. I'm going to do this.
Yeah. So.
And it's great, telling yourself, I think that's something that's maybe that belief. I mean, we're in a different age now because obviously for us, we grew up in a not so much of a digital world. So I think, wouldn't blame it on digital technology, but I think kids have a few more distractions today.
Yeah.
And it doesn't allow them to tap in to the inner thing, that voice,
That's so true.
I think they don't tap into it, I teach at Clifton Youth Club, the Clifton Young People Centre. So I have 2 sessions on a Tuesday and 1 on a Wednesday.
Well.
And the kids come in and, and it's kind of like, I get a sense of a vibe that they're just not bothered about anything. They just have a go at that, I'll have a go at that, or I'll have a mess about, I'm not really bothered. And some of them are talented. There's one guy called Trey, he's really good, writes his own raps, but he's kind of not bothered. He'd rather run in and out of the room and mess about, and I think, and one of them's got the phone in hand all the time, always on his phone. So I think, for us, I said to him when I was your age, I would have loved to have had a studio and a guy breaking down how to make music and all the rest of it. And I think, I think the times have changed.
I was going to say, it must feel quite alien for you because you, from 30, younger, just having this thirst and building it up and then getting that job and making it happen, to then see the now times where they have got these opportunities thrown in front of them in some essence, and they squander it a little bit. It must hurt your heart to a degree.
Yeah,
do you feel that?
It's weird. It's like I talk to the other staff members and just say, it's weird because I would imagine there is a child somewhere that's dying for this,
ready for this. Yeah,
but the majority of the ones that are coming through are a little bit like.
How do you tap into that botheredness? How do you get back there? Is it have we just gone too far? Have we tipped the scale?
I think so.
Because
which is sad to say, isn't it? I mean, I my job is to always have belief in those kids.
Yeah.
Every time they walk through that door, my energy is 100% for them. Like, come on, guys, here's some pen and some paper here. Let's get some lyrics down. Let's get something recorded on one of these beats. You know what I mean? That's my energy.
Yeah, I can imagine already.
You can't help but what's niggling around at the back of your mind, which is like, these guys don't even know whether they want to.
I try not to go into that side of my mind as much as possible, but when real talk comes out, you go, ooh, because I was employed by my football club recently to go and film them.
Yeah.
And I love football until my accident. I could have been the one, just like my dad, semi-pro. But I went back, and it just felt a bit different because it didn't seem to be about the football at the minute, because they'd just got this lad who was a famous TikToker, and he's reached like 2 mil on TikTok or something, and he's getting stupid views. So I'm just there, gimbal shotting him. There was the first training session. This is a training session on a local park. There was a couple of lads who'd noticed him, just sort of, do you call them roadmen? I don't know what you call them. But you got the image. You got the image. They sat there, and somebody shouted, "That's so and so." I don't know if I say his name or not.
Yeah, from TikTok.
But that's the TikTok star.
Yeah.
And then I saw a few getting together, and they were all getting excited.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. By the end of the training session, there was probably like 100 more just kids come down to see him, and all they wanted to get a glimpse of is this TikTok star, and they just wanted to get a video, a picture. And the thing is, the guy, in real truth, real honesty, if you're watching this, I'm sorry, but no talent whatsoever. It's all about the fact that he's got no talent is the funny element. And I saw it turn into a bit of a bullying thing.
Oh, right.
That's what I felt. So then kids are coming every Sunday to just get a glimpse of what he's up to and what he's doing, and to get a video of it. Because if they can get a funny video out of it,
that's going to get views.
They put it on TikTok, and then they get the views. And this is all they care about. It's not what you were talking about, which was making me smile so much at the start of the podcast, about having a passion, bopping, finding a talent, collaborating, amazing things. It was, I want to get a glimpse of this guy, get a funny little snap, little video shot, pop it on here. And it feels so weird, saturated, so contrived, and I get quite passionate about it.
And it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it's part of anything real, does it?
That's the thing. The passion factor and the purpose factor that we're talking about.
It's weird, isn't it? But that's their life, you see.
Yeah,
that's where they are. Yeah. The views, having the look, the comment. People read comments and get upset with the comments and stuff, and all the rest of it, and aren't able to sort of separate themselves from this digital app.
So this is you and me and Ty and all these people that are going into education, schools, and trying to sort of tap back in and go, hey guys, remember the things.
Yeah.
Are you optimist about it, or is the real side just going, I don't know if this is,
if it's
we can
fixable.
avoid this, if it's
I think I mean, it's horrible to say it can't be fixed now because we're too far gone.
Yeah,
I believe things could change.
Is it? But I'm not thought of merging it. Then
somebody's gonna have to come that they look up to.
Yeah,
and want to change it. It's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to be a gradual thing, a new trend where you don't do this or you don't do that.
Many people, I suppose,
and then millions of people will be like, "Oh, this is really cool. Like, we don't do that anymore. That's not cool." Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And slowly, because I'm noticing with music, I took Barney. I've got a Sprocker. He's half Springer and half Cocker Spaniel.
Nice.
And his name's Barney. He's 2 years old.
Love him.
It's right scallywag. Taking around West Park in Long Eaton. Anyway, I was walking around there with Amy and Baby, and as we get round, I'm like hearing this beat pattern that's dead familiar. I'm like, that sounds like Juicy, like by Tume, the sort of, it's like an 80s band. I'm like, that can't be. It's like, it's all kids skateboarding around here. They've got like a skateboard ramp, and as I get closer, it's like the original sample to Juicy, like Biggie Smalls, and they're listening to like 80s soul and funk. So I catch wind that this is coming back for the younger kids. They're listening to old 80s tracks, old school hip hop and old 80s hip hop. So this is coming back in. And obviously, like, I suppose when I met Ty and Nay, well, I already knew Nay and I already knew Ty, but once I'd first seen them together as the local healers, I was like, oh, mate, they're making hip hop.
Yeah. Real hip hop.
Like samples, and I was like, oh, mate, I've got to tap into this.
Yeah.
So I put a comment in. I think I DM'd Ty or Nay. I was like, look, I want to get involved, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think there's going to be a trend where we come back to what we would consider normality.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's going to be a trend.
Right.
Whether it's going to...
like a pendulum swing.
Yeah. Whether it's going to... bring their mind state back to where our minds were. Yeah. I don't know. But
maybe we are just the weird ones now.
Maybe we are
That's all I can think. But yeah, because I am in the 90s and grown up through that.
Yeah.
Maybe you always look in nostalgia in this happy, go-lucky way, and it's not as rose-painted as you made it. Yeah. But I think it is.
And just recently, Nas has 2 albums. He did one last year. This year, just dropped the second part of it. It's called King Disease 1 and 2. 2 just come out, and obviously Nas being, Illmatic, 90s boom bap sort of god or whatever. I think that. He's always had this this notion that he's beat picking and his production choice isn't great. But this young producer, and I mean young, I think he's in his 20s, called Hit Boy, who's done stuff for Drake and Lil Wayne and all these guys. Traditionally, trappy hip hop with like synthetic drums. He's tapped into samples and boom bap hip hop and got with Nas and actually created these two really dope albums, right? So I do think that once somebody that's young merges or taps into what was before and then they make it cool, because I think Hit Boy's made Nas cool again. It's crazy to say that because Nas has never been not cool for me. Always been he's always in my top 5 of greatest rappers of all time.
100%.
100%. But, it's took this young guy called Hit Boy to make Nas
back into
he actually got him his first Grammy.
Yeah.
He actually got him his first Grammy. So this young entity mixed with this old school veteran, they merged together, and I think that might be the secret. Once somebody young breaks today's trend, the drill, the stuff that we're talking about, or not really bothered about
goes
anything.
Back to the history of it, the birth of it, and goes, right, okay, I really like these elements, and then can implement it. We're gonna have this new fresh feel.
This is it sounds new to you guys, but I've tapped in. My uncle showed me this, or my granddad showed me this.
I'm relaying it back to your language as well.
Yeah,
and I think it back around to you.
I think Hit Boy's done that for Nas. I think he's like come in, glued in with him, locked in. They've hit a sweet spot.
That's awesome.
And it's merged this great music, which is sort of boom bap sort of slash what Hit Boy would normally do. And now all the younger crowd have really tapped back into Nas again. And he's sort of got the most popular album of this year.
And then they can get back to all his archive stuff and then getting all the conscious lyricism again and go, oh, okay.
Yeah, open up the library.
The world isn't just TikTok then. That's what I want. And I'm really nuanced with social media. I don't think it's the devil. I really don't.
No.
I think the way I see social media is you've got to use it.
Yeah.
It can't use you.
No.
And we've allowed that to now be a part of us. Me, Chris, and Baby, but she's not on it yet. But I do a thing called Post and Ghost.
Wicked.
So everyone's going to me, you're always so busy on social media. How the hell do you live your life?
Yeah.
And I'm just feeling, actually, I schedule everything.
Yeah.
I pop it up. I do my little bits I've got to do, and then I'm out of there.
Ghost.
I've gone.
Yeah.
Post and Ghost. I think that could be a new thing people start to implement.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's significantly, dramatically changed my life and how I feel, because I was too elusive with it. I was just I thought, I do want to promote the business, but maybe we want to look cool as well, and I'll put this little bit on, and I'd just be in a loop of a constant scrolling, and then like, if I like theirs, they might like mine. If I share theirs, they share mine. You're just tacticalizing all these weird things, and now you've gone, no, have it to promote the business, put it out there, put whatever you want up, and then go. That's where I'm at with it.
And let the people tap into it. And let them, I think that's a big thing. Some of the MCs that I talk to get a bit funny if another artist doesn't share their posts, and I laugh because that's a bit of an alien thing to me. If I've got a new track with Stan Crook Ed and I put it on I share it. And no one else shares it, I'm not mad at nobody. I'm absolutely not mad at anybody. It's there. If you want to go to Spotify and grab the song or listen to it, or go to YouTube and watch the video, knock yourself out. I've put it up there so you know it exists. And you can go and knock yourself out. But I think there is a sense of, if you don't like mine and I've liked yours, I'm going to be a bit upset with you. I think they're just too plugged into it at that case. I think you're too alert on it. If you just go, I've created something I'm proud of, I'm happy it's out in the ether, and that's a piece of content then forever. People I had something lovely the other day. I did a different podcast. It's called Words and Wisdom. And we actually sort of have more of a structure. So we pick a topic. We'll speak about depression or whatever. And there was one that I'd recorded. It must have been 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half so. But this guy got in my inbox, slid in my DMs, and he was just going, as you do,
But he was saying, dude, I've just watched your podcast. It literally saved me today. I needed this more than you ever know. And I thought he was referring to one of the week. And I said, oh yeah, he's a great guest, isn't he? And he went, oh no, this is this podcast. Sent it to me. And I went, that's like the first one I ever did, down a few years. So if you create something that you know in that moment you've got pride in.
Yeah.
Just cast it out and let it do its thing.
Let's let it do its thing.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's dead important, isn't it? Like what you just said there. It's really important to get that across to this next generation of kids that may be a little bit too dependent on wanting likes, wanting shares,
instant gratification.
Yeah, it's like, look, it's there. You know, that's a nice photo of yourself. It might be a photo of you, I don't know, in New York.
Yeah.
You know, standing in front of like, you know, at ground zero or whatever.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know, Bob, whatever. And you've posted it. Now, don't look for people to be like, oh, yeah, you know, this. It's you showing your love to those that they're no longer with us. You know what I mean? And the tragedy that happened. And you've done your post. And just enjoy the post. Just enjoy. Leave it there. Let people enjoy it. Let people like it. If they don't, people scroll past it. They scroll past it.
And that's the perspective for me. I suppose it tickles a bit differently when it's a picture of you doing your thing wherever you are.
Yeah.
There's not a great amount of skill gone into that, really. You've just done it.
Yeah.
But then when you've created a track, let's say, and then you've spent all that energy, money, time, everything that goes into it to do it, and then you see this girl here who's just had a bum out, 500 likes or whatever, and then you see your thing that you spent 3 months more on get 15 max. I suppose you can be a bit butthurt on that, and you can get a bit deflated.
But the message is for that person is just, if you're making good music and good content, it's a great point, because me and Severe, we talk about a DJ that through the pandemic, he went content crazy, which I think most of us did, because I'd never clicked the live button until the lockdown, so I didn't even know where it was. My missus had to show me where the live button was.
Come on, Grandad.
I was like, I know.
No, I don't know still.
I was like, babes, where's the live button? She's like, oh my God, it's there, look. Press that and you'll be live. Press that when you're ready to go. I'm like, so well, me and Severe, we talked about a DJ that went like content crazy, but to the point where he was like, I mean, it was, honestly, Mike, it got bad.
Over the top, overbearing.
It was bad. The content was not good.
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
Yeah.
It was more, he just wanted to keep chucking stuff out. He just wanted to be seen
out there.
every day. He just wanted something up there. A lot of the times it was him talking to the camera. The volume might be a bit too low. He'd be saying something crazy that's just, you know, stupid. Yeah, just
not
thought out. Just click record, say something down, and then he would start calling out other DJs. And
I'm going to remember the term content crazy, because I think that is actually what you stumbled on there.
It's a good name, isn't it?
How people are being. I really do. It's that instant gratification, but then they're on this desperate need to, that's doing its thing now. What's the next? And nothing great gets created out of that ever.
It's
too stressful.
Me and Severe talk about it. And he's like nudging me. We talk on the phone. He's like, Viva, look, you should contact him and tell him, look, you know, he's putting out a lot of crap content.
Yeah.
And I'm like, look, I said to him, yo, bro, I am not. You tell him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm not. You know, we're both like,
no, you
tell him. And I'm like, look. You know, if I tell him, he's like, no, but Fees, you know, he respects you. If you tell him, he'll respect. But I'm like, look, he's gonna take it the wrong way. You know, the next minute I'll look on the feed and he'll be calling me out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I thought I'm just leaving with it, bro. But his content's poor. He's puts out a lot of poor content.
Then next?
So it's just, you know, he calls out other DJs, or you know, and then he's like. Then he's doing mixers where he's clanging mixers, and then he's like just because he wants you to see him doing it, DJing.
Yeah.
And then he's talking to the camera. He's in his car driving. He's like, just loads of trash content. But it's like
in a different matrix.
But for me, I would rather not post anything till I've got something that I think, like if I'm in the studio and I've like made a beat or something, I think, this has got a good vibe on it. I'll post this.
Yeah.
And it might only be like a few MCs that will like it. You know, it might only have 30, 40, maybe 50 likes.
Yeah.
Nothing major. But the comments or the feedback could be like, don't beat Thieves. Do you know what I mean?
Organic,
love this one, dead soulful.
real.
Yeah. So for me, it's like every now and then, a bit of content. If Barney does something really funny, my dog, I'll go, let me share that with everyone because that's hilarious. Or if Safi does something funny, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just I think it's got to be like it's got to be content that means something. It's got to be decent content. Just don't throw anything out there just because you want to be seen.
Good attitude, yeah.
And I think that may be the mistake that quite a few people make with their social media, because they want to just be seen frequently.
I think that's an awesome attitude about it. And horses for courses, isn't it? What are you putting it on there for? Find your why. If it is to be just in the face of it because you're trying to sell a product and it's this product all the time, to a degree, just go on to, create a studio. You can schedule, pop them all on. You don't actually have to be there. If it's just this, say it's nails or whatever it is, and because that's apparently every day, if you drip feed something in there, you'll be more in the algorithm than others. So for those sort of people just selling a product, perfect. But like what you said amazingly is, can you be damaging your products? If it's your artistry and then you're trying to be clever or creative, but you're not, because you're just fast acting crazy content wise, you're going to do yourself a disservice. Because I get fed up as soon as I've seen so much of one thing all the time. I'm going, I tell you what, dude, the mute button has become my godsend. I'm going,
well, severe just like he like rings me like, oh God, Thieves, have you seen what he's done today? I'm like, yeah, I saw it. And I was scrolling, I was like, I was eating my breakfast and I saw it. I'm like,
I tried not to, but I had to give it a look.
And he's like, and he's doing saying something stupid or doing something stupid. Or,
bless you, man.
And it's like,
it's a crazy world, social media, and we do forget how short it's actually been of existence.
It's not been that long, really.
How we're talking now, this is about, again, we're trying to piece together the best way of doing it, but there is no rule book, there is no manual. We're just working it through our own mistakes, where we've got depressed by being on it and over consuming, or over creating content. So it's a forever changing thing. I think you can build it to working for you, though. Did you watch The Social Dilemma? Have you watched that documentary?
No, I haven't.
Dude, that's the good one.
Is it on Netflix?
Netflix,
is it?
dude.
I'll get
I'm
that later.
sending you that. And that's the one that is all these tech heads. Oh my God, it's actually given me a bit of heart palpitation then thinking about it, because the people that have started this, the Zuckerberg and so on, the people just under them, these were the ones saying, do you know what you're creating? You don't know how dangerous this is going to be, where we're going with this, because the idea is turning us into, that's using us. It needs to be there. So where you see all these ads popping in now and so on, it's creating that algorithm where it's turning us into robots in a certain essence. And watching that documentary, really, that was my pinnacle moment of, Chrissy, we have to sort our shit out now, because we can't keep on doing what this documentary is saying we're doing. It got intense, man. So I'll send it you over.
Send me that.
And then you send it that crazy guy. Let him watch it.
I mean, he's a bless him. He's a lovely guy. His heart's there, but I think, like you say, content crazy. The pandemic started it all off. And again, for me, sort of not putting myself in the same bucket that he's in, I also thought to myself, not because of what he was doing, but because I was like on Facebook and I'd seen other DJs doing live streams, and I thought, oh, maybe I should do one of these. When next time I go in there and have a practice, I'll find out where this record button is, and I'll flip the camera around and I'll see what happens. And it was a learning curve for me. I was just recording my audio from my missus has got a Beats pill and stuffed that under my phone under a stand.
Nice.
On a phone stand. And I thought, that's good enough audio.
And then what we're doing. I love that saying.
And then my mate Jeremy Prince was like, great stream last night for you. He had loads of momentum. See all the comments. I'm like, it was crazy. I'd scratched my first tune in and I looked at the phone and it was like going dong 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 dong. I didn't realise that, that when you go live, people get a notification, Stephen Fever Richards has gone live. So I was like, I scratched in like back and forth, Aaliyah, thought I'll do a little R&B set. I won't go super like boom bap hip hop on him. I'll just play a bit of like R&B, sing along stuff. I've like scratched it in, and before it's got to her first verse, the phone's like lit. So I was saying to Jeremy, oh yeah, mate, I was like, I didn't get it. Like, how did people know I was live so quickly? So he explained that to me, and then he goes, "Oh, by the way, Fees, how are you doing your audio? It sounded a bit tinny." I was like, "Oh, use me beats pale." Like, he's like, "Oh no, you need this thing called an iRig."
Right.
And he sent me a picture. I'm like, right, okay, I'll order one now. So, you know, we obviously didn't know how long we were going to be into like lockdown. I thought it'd be worth having. So learning curve. And then that gave me the going live DJ bug, going live and doing live streams and stuff. But never did I ever feel compelled to do it if I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
If I was tired, you know, I'd started doing every Friday and Saturday, almost like a residency. And I was like, ordered this place around the corner from us called Pizza Romance. I said to Amy, you know, we'll have a Pizza Romance tonight. She's like, yeah. Aren't you going live? I was like, well, I was supposed to, aren't I? Because I've been doing every Friday and Saturday, but sod it, I'll have a Pizza Romance and I'll scrap it off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I never felt compelled to have to do it. And I think that's the secret in it. You know?
Yeah.
You know, don't just do it because you feel like you've got to do it. Do it because I've actually rehearsed a really cool hip hop set.
Yeah.
And I want to share that with people because there's some decent songs in there and it's decent content. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when I can't be bothered to do it because I'm going to have a Pizza Romance,
I
won't do it.
Go do your thing.
Yeah.
Go be with a family.
Put Safi to bed. Yeah. Put
Stuff
Safi to
that
bed.
means something.
Yeah. Put Safi to bed means Amy have a Pizza Romance, sit down, watch a film.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm not DJing because the clubs are closed. Let's just enjoy some time together. Do you know what I mean?
That sounds epic.
I'm not doing it because the algorithm or the numbers are telling me I have to do it. Do you know what I mean?
100. But don't get trapped into that.
Chasing
and that is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a trap.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. It's just lovely with even your mate then saying, "Oh, it sounds a bit tinny. Use this."
Yeah.
You've always got people in your life.
Jeremy Prince. Shout out to Jeremy Prince. Yeah.
Just people that want to help you, and I suppose it is who you are as a character. That energy, that vibration, that who you come across as.
Yeah.
Everyone just wants to go, do you know what, I want to help that guy in some way.
Yeah.
And that it's very deserving. But that's how you've got these mentors in your life. They just want to be helpful towards the cause.
Yeah. I want to throw another one in there. Courtney Rose, which is the brother of Trevor Rose, and his production name was Black Viking. He was the one that actually sat me down in front of a sampler first and said, right, that's the on button, switch it on, press sample, put the needle on the record, right, that's that sample going in there, you hit sample, it's how you truncate the sample and get the bit that you want. I mean, he literally, he literally gave me my other like joy in life, which is making music, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I was there DJ for their group, and he literally says, no, some of your, you know, tape deck loops are all right. You just need to learn how to do it properly. Sit down, I'll show you.
Oh, mate.
You know,
so cool.
Amazing. Like, not everybody has those people around him, so I'm really grateful. They're like you say, if I was to write a book, there'd be a list of them.
Yeah.
And, you know,
we're going to get that book wrote, brother. We're getting it wrote.
Jeremy Prince is in there as well.
That's for me. When I was saying I can get envious at times when I see these collectives and people together.
Yeah.
Because I never really had that. And particularly mentors are very, very short on the list of people I can say help me out of that place or I've got a few now. Martin Illingworth, shout out to him. He's an incredible teacher and sent me into all these schools and places.
Wicked.
He saw me at an open mic and gave me a business card.
Dope.
And he's Sheffield Hallam head lecturer,
right?
Awesome guy, and put me in front of loads of people. But yeah, it's very few. I could count it on one hand.
Yeah,
those mentors in my life.
Yeah.
I suppose that's why I've gravitated to putting on workshops on the farm
to help other people.
Because I'm going, those kids that haven't got any in their life at the minute, no ambition, no aspiration, no idea what they want.
Yeah.
Psychoanalyzing, I suppose that is a big earning in me to go, I want to help these youngsters.
And it's dead rewarding as well. Don't you find it quite rewarding when you do?
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, like I was on about my student Nico before.
Purposeful.
It's been dead rewarding for me, especially in session when he's learning complex scratches and he's picking them up straight away, and then, you know, and I'm watching him do them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just taught him how to do that. This is amazing.
And I suppose that's the one problem for me is because I didn't have those mentors. I feel quite impostery now because I've got got an eclectic set of skills
Yeah.
to give out. That's
Yeah.
why I'm getting in Ty, I'm getting in
Brilliant.
whoever. I would love to get you in, to be honest.
we sort that out, man. You just let me know where you need
I
me.
would love to get you. The kids would benefit so just from being around you, mate. I'd just be like, just do whatever you do. You don't even need decks. We'll just have a good time. But 100%. Because I've not got all them skill sets. I think, I'm. What can I actually give it? I won't give him something,
right?
But I don't know what to give him.
Well, you're giving him poetry and words.
Poetry's good, though.
And words. I mean, words are so important and they're powerful. Do you know what I mean? Because with words, you're either going to hurt somebody and cut somebody down, or you're going to do the absolute opposite and lift them up into space,
elevate them to next level.
And you're great with words. The video that you put up the other day where it's the
bless you, man. Yeah,
sick, man.
Thank you, brother.
Dope.
That's Frankie Bones beat. That is
dope beat.
He's cool, isn't it?
I said something about the production, didn't I?
Yeah. You mentioned, and it's beautiful. Got that sent across.
But the marriage between what you're saying and how you're saying it on the beat.
Because I'd never learnt the beat thing, so I've always got into my head about not doing it like a rapper. And you put on the American accent, doing it like this, and so I just goes, I really want to just do that. Talk. I just want to say it.
It's amazing.
And on-off beat style stuff. So it is.
And I'm if you littles will tell you this, and the local healers, I'm really into like what we call pocket and rapping off the grid.
Right. Okay.
I love that. Some of the artists that I've worked with have been very on the grid.
Right, I get you.
On the grid.
Yeah.
And I'm really into like pocket changing. We call it pocket changing and flow changing because there's a little pocket in the beat and you keep jumping in and out the pocket.
Oh, I love that.
And my favourite MCs, my top 10 favourite MCs have all been renowned pocket change MCs. Always come out of the one and move around, and that's what you do really well.
Is Mike Skinner in there? Is he
Skinner's amazing, isn't he? He actually, now you've said, if I had to extend my 10, I might have to throw him in there.
He pioneered something there. He really did. I love. It's because he was my first ever CD, so you fall in love with that, don't you?
Yeah.
Slim Shady, and then A Grand Don't Comfort. So Eminem.
I mean, talk about pocket and flow.
Calls. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But I've got Eminem as the first CD, and at the same time was The Streets. I knew I wanted rap there. I didn't. My dad was really musical, but it was Sting and stuff like that.
Great influences though.
So we'd get a big drive down to Essex we used to go to.
Wicked.
And we'd just circulate. I think my sister probably had a S Club 7 or something.
Yeah.
But my dad's old schooly Sting, but mine, there was something about rap.
Yeah.
And then, music sort of faded out my life a little bit. I went into the sporty scene, a lot of rugby, bit of boxing, football. But it's just funny how at 20, when that thing happened to my friend and I found poetry again, the music here, it's 6 years old or so on, transferred straight back round. It's like it is a part of you, isn't it?
It's amazing, isn't it? Once you've had a connection with it spiritually with that music, that's it forever. As soon as you hear it, that's the beautiful thing with music. It's really powerful because you might not hear a song for years, a decade, and then you walk into a bar and it's playing in the background, you're like, and all these memories come back, from the last time you heard it and everything.
And clearly at like 7-8 years old, I'm not so sure on what they're saying to a degree. I don't know what Light So Blind in Your Eyes is about. But the storytelling I could get behind, and that's a whole concept album from start to finish. I remember listening in with these headphones in and just going, oh my God, Dad is telling a story. He's telling a story. I loved stories as a kid. So it's the first time I'd heard that in music, and that, for me, being 20... 21, 22, oh my God, I just love telling stories in my writing.
Amazing.
And that's it. I realised it's come from this really young influence.
But what I like about you specifically, not just because you've got a great vocab of words, right? You've got a big bucket of words that you can
throw out there.
It's great. It's so important. Is it for an MC or poetry or spoken word, whichever category you want to sit into? It's dead important if you're going to pick up this microphone that you're not a limited.
Condense yourself down.
So, but my thing that I love with you is your ability to move around the grid.
Right.
Come off the one, come in there, drop out there, put a gap there, then come in again.
It's really fascinating to hear it from a producer because I've not heard it in that way before. So honestly,
dope, man. It's dope.
Thank you so much about that.
Nate can co-sign this because when you shot one of their videos.
Yes.
and then he was sharing your stuff. And I told him when he came to my studio, I goes, yo, who's that dude? He goes, oh, Rhythmic Mike. I was like, yo, he's sick, man.
Oh, bless you,
man.
He's
got pockets and he can move all over the beat. And you know, Ty will like, next time you with Ty, he'll confirm that story. Yeah,
I really appreciate that
man,
because, like you say, the imposter syndrome that can come in, and when you're not doing it how everyone else sounds, you get so nervous towards that. You go, oh, am I just letting myself down here? Or...
That's your secret weapon.
Yeah,
that's your weapon that you're going to beat everyone down with.
Dude,
the fact that
I didn't know it was going to get to this part of the podcast. So I'm like, bloody hell, let's go and make a track.
No, that is definitely your secret weapon, mate. Yeah,
thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. A part of this podcast, I couldn't believe we're 2 hours in. Like, that's mental.
You're gonna have to cut it down.
I've got to edit this.
You're gonna have to cut it down.
There's nothing could be cut. It's too electric. There's too much to deal with here. Now, the family side of things. I did want to get into that because. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 47.
Wow.
I turned 47 in June this year.
So you had a baby
at 45.
45. That is later on in a lot of people's terms.
Very, very later on. And Safia has been like, I mean, I don't know where to start when I tell you she's like literally like, that bulb came on, that
Really?
that bulb over there came on. Do you know what I mean? That tap on the shoulder was like, oi, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that voice that goes, oi, bro.
What was the most powerful bulb?
The most powerful bulb that came on was like, well, I didn't realise that I could love something so much.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I love hip-hop, and I love making beats, and I love my mum, and I love my two sisters, Alison and Gillian, I love my brother Des. Love them like... you know, unconditionally. But this little thing, you know, that popped out of Amy on the 6th of December, you know what I mean, 2019, I was like, right, okay, is it possible that I can love anything? Especially now, characters coming through now, she's just like, melts me.
Did you imagine that beforehand? Or when was the moment where you went, oh, this is new, I didn't think this was coming? Was it the moment in the arms, or was it as you were the build up? Where was it where you went, ouch?
So a little bit when the midwife handed her over to me.
Yeah.
And then I told you and your partner outside dinner.
Yeah.
So I was in the kitchen. Amy ran upstairs to get herself ready quickly to get some stuff, and she was taking her to forest school. I think it was a Friday, and just giving her a breakfast. And I always like when they're gone, I do the pots, put all the bibs in the wash, dry. I do that bit.
Nice.
Amy will take her to forest school. So I'm dancing around with her, and this Emily Sunday tune comes on. I'll let you know what it is at the end. I'll find it on YouTube. So I'm dancing around with her, and there's this really like heartfelt melodic instruments coming, and obviously the words that she's singing. She's got a great voice, Emily Sunday. So it's a combination of that, and then Safi was just like giggling and smiling and kissing me, and you know, and I was just like, it all just hit me all at once, and I just couldn't hold it back. I was just like that uncontrollable crying. Do you know what I mean? And Amy came downstairs and she was like, oh, what's up? Oh, you silly. We had like a little family hug thing, and I was like, oh,
I love this.
And that was like, mate.
Yeah. Because if you'd have told me this a year ago before Ella, I'd have been listening with such different ears.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, that's cute, mate. How nice. Probably not really. It can't be to that extent. I bet he's making this up.
Yeah.
Now, genuinely, how you say it, it's so powerful. It is so, that love you feel.
It is deep, man.
I had it, it's literally deep. The other day.
Yeah.
I didn't break down necessarily, but I want my body and my soul and everything about me to emanate and emit goodness and the good side of my nature. But there is also that I love you so much. I got a bit of this fear kicking to it as well.
That's the one.
Because I was going, oh my God, if anything happened to you, if anybody hurt you,
bro.
And I started getting real heart palpitations
and butterflies in your stomach. And
it was a little much for me in a ways.
Yeah,
So I tried to get a clock out and just go, come here, give me a hug, let's have a laugh.
You tried to squash that feeling,
be in the moment.
Yeah,
but I felt that so strongly, but it went the other way to a degree.
Yeah, it like a worrying.
It
like
just was an overwhelming angst.
Yeah.
Of, I never want anything to happen to her.
Mate.
Getting emotional now. I wonder if she's all right.
Honestly, bro, like I'm completely with you. I'm constantly stressing Amy. She's all right. It's okay. She falls over. Oh, what's going on? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I just it's there, isn't it? The fear that the stuff. Obviously, she's got to fall over.
Yeah.
She's got to cry at school.
Yeah.
She's got to she's got to fall out with a friend and come home crying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All this stuff's got to happen.
Boyfriend.
Yeah.
And wherever it goes. Yeah. I'm not. They best be nice. But it's completely changed who you are, how you are.
I've always been the smiley, bubbly, giggly thing, which I think's, that part of me is going to help Safi as well. She's got a smiley face. Amy smiles a lot.
Yeah.
And my sisters are smiley, my brother's smiley, Amy's mum and dad, they're dead smiley. So, she sees that. I think that part of me is always going to be there. But there's something else that's happened to me.
Yeah.
And it's definitely since she's been here, I've got this other thing.
Yeah.
Going on in my mind.
Has it changed your work? Has anything come across in working?
Almost instantly. I got asked to do New Year's Eve of the New Year's Eve of 2019, going into 2020, just before the pandemic, obviously. And I told the promoters, I told everybody, oh, look, Safi's coming. She was due to come on the 25th of December.
Yeah.
So she was meant to be a Christmas baby, but she came on the 6th, came early. So she's a little bit premature. So I told everybody, look, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. This Christmas, this New Year's Eve, I'm out. I'm going to spend it at home. I've been doing them every year for decades. Probably 15 plus years.
You were the
I've not taken a New Year's Eve.
Call lists. Get fever
for New Year's Eve.
In,
So the promoter rang me up like 2-3 days before New Year's Eve, begging me, oh, Fever, please. And I was just like, categorically no. Whereas in a normal, before Safi, I'd be like, oh yeah, hell yeah, negotiate the money, I'm out there DJing, no matter what the situation is. Oh, Amy, soz babes, you'll be at home by yourself on New Year's Eve, I'm off DJing, or you can come with me, or she'll spend it with her mum and dad or whatever. But I was like, categorically not DJing, bro. And he had to pay me like out of the arsehole to get me to do it.
Really?
Well, Amy basically called the price.
Really? Because that's a good way of being, isn't it? If you put a silly price across that you think, they're not going to go for this. And they're like, okay.
All right, go on then, Thieves.
Then you make it double worth your while.
I was like, I looked at Amy. She's like, when he said, go out and Thieves, I looked at Amy. Amy was like, fucking hell.
I love that.
She's like, cool.
It's fair.
Right, go and get to work then, she said.
Yeah, because I do the school talks and so on. So when you're giving keynotes, you can be in Cornwall or wherever.
Yeah.
And I used to love it because if you're doing a head teacher's gig or conference, they will put you up.
Yeah.
They will make it. And I've never stayed in hotels like that.
Cool.
Chaise lounge or whatever. And you think, I'm not materialistic, but I will vibe with whatever you're giving me.
Yeah.
And I used to buzz for that. Martin, where we're turning up to? Oh, cool. I remember that near the lakes, we get... like our bedroom faces the lakes and
Beautiful.
so on. Awesome.
Nice.
But now I just don't want to be away. There's nothing about me when I get told, oh, you're going here, so you got a booking for a hotel here, stay over, do this. Just going, can I just turn up early? Can I set off at 6 and get back, get done? But
well, actually, I've got a bit of an ugly place that Safi's put me into. Not ugly for me, I suppose ugly for artists.
Yeah.
I converted my garage into a studio. So, I've sort of hit. I mean, it's literally Safi.
Yeah.
It's like she's like literally. I look at her and I'm like, I'd rather be here on the rug, putting triangles through triangles and circles through circles and squares through. She's dead intelligent, you know what I mean? Amazing. She's really, really intelligent. She's like 4-syllable words and she's like 20 months old, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And I'd rather, I said to Amy, look, babes, I'm done with the free beats, free coming to record on a beat. I'm mixing it down for free. done with it, babes.
Yeah.
That studio door opens when somebody's booking in for a DJ session or if somebody's paying me to do something.
Yeah.
And, you know, literally, I said I'd rather, you know, because I'm in the studio doing stuff, not getting paid for it. And Amy's like, go bringing Safi in. Oh, you know, night, babes, you know, Safi's going to bed. Say night, daddy. She's like, bye, daddy, night.
Oh.
And I'm like, am I actually sitting in the studio not getting paid?
Yeah.
For doing...
I think
I'm
that's
like,
what it's done to us, is
like,
the value of time. We just put a price on our time, because I never used to do that before. I thought, how much is this money going to get me for this amount of thing, and I can buy this and do this?
Yeah.
But now it's like, but what could I be doing in that time period? Do you know what I mean? And I've turned down music videos quite a lot now, extensively. And they're saying, oh, it's just an easy one. It's a quick one. But I'm like, it's still 2, 3, 4 hours, more than you'd imagine, where I want to be sat there playing, being with my partner.
Oh,
it's just so precious. Precious. I never understand the value of time before. No. Never.
Before your daughter came along, you would quite happily pop off, go shoot a video, come
free
back
as well,
sit for free, sit down, edit it, cut it up, make it look amazing, send it to them, get their buzz going. You get nothing out of it. Mike's getting absolutely nothing out of it. Do you know what I'm saying? And you can imagine how many years I've been giving free beats and recording and mixing, you know, giving people full albums.
Alive.
I'm like, shout out to Scores AZ and Dealmaker, because they paid me for pieces to the puzzle. So they, you know, Scores ran me when he was doing that album. He was like, Fever, I want you to produce, you know, the bulk part of this vinyl cut of the album. And I'm going to pay you. And I don't care what you say. This is the conversation I had with Scores. Shout out to Scores and Steve from Dealmaker. They were like, no, this isn't, there's a Kickstarter and there's some money there. And some of it's for your production, Fever. So I was like, oh, do you know what? I really appreciate that. Do you know what I mean? Respect, man. Do you know what I mean? Because I probably would have done it for Scores for free, because the fact that I believe in him as an MC. Do you know what I mean? And he's such a dope MC. But I think having Safia now, it's just like, not bothered, mate.
It's expensive. It'll get. I can push myself, because if it's 500 quid for something here, to be fair, my family reap that reward.
Brilliant. There you go.
The line,
there you go.
I can do it. That time's warranted.
That was a golden number, by the way. A bag's $1,000. Right. So that 500 number is.
You're up there, aren't you?
It's a sweet spot, isn't it? You know, if you're having to do this, especially the editing in what you're doing. I mean, I just think to myself, crikey, I'm moaning at him about, you know, making a beat, recording it into Logic, recording some vocals and putting some vocals on a bus and balancing it all up. But when you're chopping this, chopping that,
can get like that.
God, it's like
I love the with all artists, and every artist is great because they want the best out of their work. But it's that can you just, and they don't understand how time consuming the can you justs are for no money at all. It's just and cut and you go, I get it, because we want this to be perfect, so I will, but this is the cost now too, and they don't expect that. It's strange, but same as you, I'll say local healers, I want to work for them because I believe in what they're doing.
For sure.
So when they've asked me a couple of things, I've gone, let's go. I enjoy being around you. You give me not just a great vibe, but a lot of inspiration.
Now, my other thing would be, because, you know, not always, you know, the stuff that I would spend hours, you know, building and arranging. Most of it ends up just on a hard drive. It doesn't come out. Now, this is the thing with local healers. That's where the love is with local healers, because they've got a vision. And they've got a plan. Do you know what I mean? So everything that you do with local healers actually comes out. Right. So you don't, even if you are doing something for the love for local healers, you are going to reap some kind of reward, because there's going to be a video to it that they've paid for. You know, maybe paid you for a video or whatever, or you know, or the track's going to be used for something else, or we do a stream and it's content for.
It's being very aware as an artist, isn't it, about what opportunities you're creating for yourself. And for me, then, even when I've done a few free things for local healers, I look back at the stuff we've done, I'm like going, I'm so proud of this.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
a great, fun, funky thing we did.
But you've made some content for yourself, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So then
yeah.
also I take that, and anybody that asks me like, what do you actually do, who you work with, I ping them that cross. Oh yeah, I like that, and then it's built from there.
Business is built. So it's worked that's worked in your favour.
100%.
And plus with the local healers, they're currently, Tal talked about it, they're currently getting funding and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So the future projects
Comes back round.
their future projects now have a little bit of something in the pot.
Yeah.
And Ty and A, just a couple of dope ass guys.
Awesome human. Yeah, I work with awesome humans.
Yeah, mate.
The thing is, awesome humans as well really understand your time.
Yes.
And when you mention baby things and so on, they'll go, dude, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I'm fully in with it.
Yeah.
Either, we can give you this or we can do that for you.
Yeah.
But we understand where you're at.
Yeah.
And I've worked with people before where they just want to squeeze everything out,
Wring you dry,
everything
mate.
you can get. So yeah, just making sure always you're tapping in, you're conscious, and you're thinking about what's this actually doing for me.
Yeah.
That's big.
And you need to, it needs to work for both of us. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, Safi, she's definitely brought me to a place where it doesn't benefit a few people that I would have normally done things for free. But I have good relationships with them outside of the music, so it won't ruin any relationships. But I am definitely, since having Safi, I'm like categorically,
this is where I'm at.
yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a great attitude.
She's amazing.
I mean, I'm glad we've got daughters at fairly similar ages. When we do this podcast in 5 to 10 to whatever years down the line, and we have our timeline, we're going to have such new discoveries and different things.
They'll be in the same year at school, basically.
Yeah, 100%. Right, what school's yours going to? I want her around that energy, whatever I can do. The forest school sounds great. I'd love to get Ella into forest school.
Ella into forest school.
I mean, we're on a farm now, so there's a lot of animals and touching things. And,
she's made up here, mate.
Yeah.
So made up.
But I think the thing she's missing at the minute is the community side.
Right.
She needs to be around other kids.
So, to get speech going. Yeah, my sister does fostering, so she has a little girl called Kyla May that she's looking after. And Kyla May doesn't speak much, same age as Safia. And she doesn't speak much, but she's quite good on her legs, running and all that. Everything else is cool, drinking from a cup and all the rest of it. But Jill's absolutely, like when I told you she ran me the other day, just checking in, Safi was just like yapping away in the background. She's like, oh my God. She's like, babes, is that Safi? I'm like, yeah, she's off now. Say something and it's in.
Yeah.
Tell her to say a word and it's locked in. And then that's part of her vocab now. Do you know what I mean? So Jill's like, yeah, I think I'll have to get Kyla May at the nursery, find a time to get her in somewhere, because she's like way behind Safia speech wise.
Right.
So and Amy's like, she's like, my partner's like head of education and manages 2 nurseries.
Nice.
So she's really she's studying. They go away for extra training on certain weekends, and she's really into like things that progress babies, and stuff that they do.
I think she'd do a podcast.
Mate,
I'd love that.
Amy will fry you with info.
I would love that, honestly. I'm trying my best now to take in all the information I can and baby's development, because this is the big years, isn't it? This is the formative part of a human's life.
Yeah.
So I would love to lap that in.
If you get Amy sat in this chair, mate, you'll be just sat there like
double this podcast hours.
Wow, I didn't know this. Wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
incredible. She's always telling me stuff like, oh yeah, no, that's cool. That's some. She's got all these there's these weird names for stuff, and that's called this when they do that, and that's part of their
incredible.
And, when she does this, it's just because she's trying to tell her brain that, and I'm like, bloody hell,
mate.
Babes, why is she doing that? Oh, it's because she'll explain everything to me.
I want to know. I love, when something happens to me physiologically, psychologically, I do a massive, I just want to know what is actually happening, go into the depths of it, the root of it, and then get to that seed. People that have done that searching, I can pick their brains and piece it apart.
She's got a lot for you to pick out of.
Well, this has today, I've really, we could do so many of these.
I know, mate.
We've gone to the scratch, a good use of language, scratch surface of everything.
Yeah.
But we could have gone into all of those avenues and got so much out of it. Dude, you're a very amazing man.
Mate.
An awesome character. I've loved this.
I'm sorry that we went on so long, bro.
Dude, I mean, I have got to edit it, and it is for next Friday, but I can do it because I'm going to really enjoy listening to it back and taking it.
Amazing. Thanks for having me, man.
It's been awesome.
We need to do some stuff together.
We will, I promise you.
Yeah.
I know.
Get some space and some time.
How busy you are.
Yeah.
We're on this mission, but I know for a fact you're a part of our timeline. You're a part of this journey now.
Sure,
I want you on the bus. Mate, so this is our conclude. Guys, you've been a part of the Old Farm Bus, Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Fever, where can I find all your stuff?
You can jump onto my Instagram. That's Stephen Fever. Facebook, Stephen Fever Richards. Twitter is at DJ Fever Knots. Mixcloud at DJ Fever Knots, and Bandcamp is at DJ Fever Knots as well, I think.
Nice.
So keep it simple. Kept it simple.
All mapped out there for people. Remember what we say, just be nice to one another, you beautiful set of buggers. Have a great day. Thanks so much, man.
Cheers.